Hello and welcome to Fatboss TV, and today we are going to be having a little look at my UI. This is Johnprescott's UI, and it's the Hunter UI, the DPS UI that I use. I don't really use it for healing. I use it for tanking similarly with some small adjustments. I wouldn't recommend it for healing because of where I put a lot of my damage moves where I'd normally have my group raid frames if I was healing, so I like it in the middle, but you can use this for healing as well if you just want to fiddle about with it. There's also going to be a download link, and I'm also going to show you very shortly how to download the UI and how to install the UI, so if you can't be bothered to kind of set it up yourself in your own way, you can literally just download it and fiddle about with it yourself. So let's just show you right now how to download and install my UI straight into your WoW. Okay, so once you've downloaded the Fatboss UI, it's going to be in a folder, in a zip file. Once you extract it, it's going to be in a folder called Fatboss Hunter UI, and you'll be given a folder which will have account and interface. That's the two things you're going to have. Okay, so what you first want to do when you get this to install the UI is that you want to go and find wherever your World of Warcraft is saved and go into the files and go into interface, and then also match that on the actual other thing. And what you want to do, you want to replace this add-ons folder here in your WoW folders with this add-ons. This will give you all of my add-ons straight into yours. You may want to back up this folder. I highly recommend you do, just in case the install goes wrong, because this UI is actually locked to 1080p for most of it, I imagine, so it may come out a bit funny. You can always try though, but do make sure that you do back up any of your stuff. So what you want to do, you want to drag this, put it in there. I'm not going to do it now because it'll screw everything over for me. So that's what you need to do, and that's all you need to do on that side. However, that will just give you my add-ons. What you need is my settings for my add-ons. So what you want to do is that you want to go into your WTF folder and then your account folder. Okay, in there you'll find a folder which is your account name. I'm not going to show you mine because I'm not sure what you can do with it. So you'll find a folder which is your account name. It's normally a bunch of numbers if it's fairly new. If it's an old one, it actually might be the name of your account. So then what you need to do is go into the Fatboss Hunter UI account folder, and then you want to change this to your account name. So I don't know, maybe your account name is well done. Okay, then you want to go deeper, and you want to change this to whatever server you're on. So, I don't know, say you're on Twisting Never or something. There you go. And then you want to change this to your character name. And, well, my name is Johnprescott. So there we go, Johnprescott. Then what you want to do is that you want to drag all of this, after, of course, saving and backing up this account folder. You want to drag this into there. And that's it. Once you've done that, that's all you need to do. So you've dragged my add-ons into your add-ons in the interface options, and then you've dragged your dragged my account and all this sort of folder after filling in all the information, and then you want to drag that into here and replace that. Make sure you do back up all your stuff though, because I am not responsible for you to blow up your computer or WoW doesn't work or something. So if you back it up, there won't be any issues at all. If you have any problems with this, just comment below and someone will be able to help you. Okay, so now that you know how to download the UI and you don't have to fiddle about, so if you're done, see you later. If you want to know more about how to actually use these add-ons and what each individual add-on actually does and how to set it up and whether or not you want it or not, stick around, because the add-ons that we're going to be covering individually is Bartender and OmniCC. I'm going to do them together because they kind of work with each other. Quartz, SexyMap, Shadow Unit Frames, Skada, TidyPlates, Stay Focused, DBM, and TellMeWhen. So there's a lot of add-ons that I'm going to be going through. I'm going to go through them at moderate speed, but I do want to be able to go into depth of if it's needed, really, for each individual add-on. So starting off, we're going to be having a look at Bartender. So Bartender is, of course, the add-on that you use to, of course, put your bars where you want your bars. And when you first install it, you'll see right here that you'll have yourself an icon by a minimap. So you right click that and you get this lovely options. Now if you look through them all, there's a lot. It might look a bit crazy, but don't worry, it's not actually that nuts. And probably it'll help you if I just show you where each individual thing is. So look, So I've got my bars here. I've got bar 6, bar 1, bar 7, bar 2, bar 3. That could probably be done better. It would probably be better if that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it kind of ended up like that in my UI. I've also got bar 4 over there, which I can make transparent, which is really cool. So I'm going to be showing you how to do that. So when you do first get your Bartender installed, you'll be kind of faced with this kind of stuff. You'll normally have a bunch of bars in the middle, and what you want to do is that you want to get your bar. So let's have a look at bar 1. Now that you've got all of these options here, you've got the a scale, so you can make it bigger or smaller. You can increase the amount of buttons that you have on the bar. You can pad it, which means it's more spaced apart, and I can't remember what the padding was on. I think that looks right. Fuck, oh well, it doesn't matter. And you can also make it into rows if you want it vertically. Like, you can increase the amount of rows, so it's like a column instead, sort of thing. You can also toggle button grid, which I'm not really sure it does, but I don't use it. So that's absolutely fine. Also, if you have macros and stuff, you can hide the macro text. I haven't done it on bar 2, so like bar 2, if you have a look right there, it has loads of macro text. I've got all my stuff there. If I just click that, it's all gone. So if you want to try and keep it somewhat clean, you can. You can also hide the hotkeys as well, so you can also click through it as well, so that you can't click these, so you actually have to like hit the ability. So I have to use my bind in order to use the key instead of clicking on it, whereas if you turn that off, you can click on them, which is pretty cool. So that's what you kind of face with, and what you want to first do when you first get Bartender is you want to put the bars where you want to put your bars. And the one thing that I would say when you are doing this is the main thing is that you can't. Personally, I think the main thing with a UI is that you've got to keep it away from your character's feet, and you want to have the most clear view of whatever's going on in the fight. That's why mainly everything in my UI is normally bunched all the way down at the bottom. You could so I can see everything else. I can see what's coming in the fight, apart from this bit here, and I'll explain that in a second. But otherwise, you can see under my feet, which is very important, because if you have something landing underneath you, you want to be able to move from it and all that good stuff. Now, another thing with Bartender, so once you've got all the bars in your right position, you want to put your bars there, you'll lock them, and you'll go into your keybinds. Now, normally when you do your keybinds, you have to go into the bloody keybinds menu and find each one, but this Bartender makes it really, really easy to do. All you have to do is hover over it, and then you just have to hit the bind you want to do. Now, you want to be careful that you're not trying to move around or anything, because otherwise you'll unbind, move forward, like your W, or your right or left mouse click, to whatever you're hovering over. So make sure you stand still and you hover over whatever you want to do, and I don't know, say I want to bind this to, I don't know, Shift N, for some fucked up reason. There you go, so it's bound to Shift N. I would never recommend that. Also, if you want to get rid of any of the key bindings there, you press Escape. And that will get rid of all the keybinds. However, if you've replaced a keybind in order to put a keybind there, so say I did replace walk forward to get my keybind there, and then I remove the keybind from that, it won't replace walk forward. So you do have to go back into the keybinds options and sort that out. So do be careful still. So I want this as Shift 1. Do that, Shift 1. Excellent. Also, it has character-specific key bindings up here, which is really useful, because you might have different key bindings for different characters. So I try and make sure you always have this ticked. Sometimes I forget personally. So yeah, it's really, really good if you can get that ticked, and that's nice and simple. So there you go. You just bind everything you want to bind, and there you go. Nice and sorted. Now, the reason that I have all this in the middle here is because I've got all my main damagey moves here. I've got my... Normally I'd have an extra move there, but I've got a... for some reason I put it there. It should probably be up there, but I've kind of got used to it there. But this is like my main damagey stuff that I want to use, and it's stuff that I want to be able to very quickly glance at and then go back to the fight. If I need to see when my explosive shot's coming off a cooldown, or I need to see when I can next barrage, I can quickly look down and look back up. It makes it more simple for me. It works for me. However, I used to work with a 3-bar system down here, just having 3 bars down there, and that worked absolutely fine as well. It's just personally at the moment, I'm really, really enjoying this. So that's nice and simple. Now, another add-on that kind of works incredibly well with Bartender is OmniCC. Now, OmniCC, if you see that I've got these little numbers afterwards, it shows you the cooldown of stuff. After you've done it, so say I do Feign Death, after I've done it, 30-second cooldown, got Deterrence, it's got that, it's got the 60-second cooldown there, and that will just tick down to 0 and eventually go off. It pretty much install it and it works, so that's really, really simple. It's just a nice little thing that you can do, and I highly recommend it. It makes it even easier when you just glance down, glance back up, and there you go, it works. So I use it all the time. It's very, very helpful. Now, other little bits and pieces that you can do with Bartender 4 is, as you can see here, I've got a thing over here. So like these are things that I really don't use in fights. Like I've got my cool pet, and I've got, I don't know, camouflage. I probably should use that. I've never really found a purpose for it in a fight, but so I've got all this here, and so I find that very, very useful to have it so it's see-through, so it doesn't get in the way at all. And the way that you do this is that when you go into this, you go into visibility, and you have it so it fades out. So you select these options, you can figure out how much it fades out, and when you go over it, it becomes completely visible again. So I had it on 15, I think, and that's enough so you can just quickly glance down. So it's just not always there. It's not necessary, you don't need to do it, but you can, which is quite nice. Also, with positioning of your bars, you can do it with the Y and offset. You can like play with it properly by clicking these and doing it all professional like. I never do that. I just kind of plonk them down, and it's kind of worked out quite well, which is really, really good. Also, with the other things with Bartender is that you can actually move all your bars. You can have your stance bar, you got your bag bar, micro menu. I personally have all this over here in the corner, especially with Hunters now with stances. You never change stances. Normally I have it around here, so I can quickly click through them, because I used to click my stances. Still do. Baddie, but that's also quite good. Also, it has a vehicle bar. I don't even know where my vehicle bar is because I can't remember. Oh, it's here. So if I need to get out of a vehicle, I can just click on that, which is absolutely great. You also have a reputation bar if you want it. You can also have an experience bar if you want it, but of course I don't really use that. You can also have the Blizzard art bar. I don't know why you'd want that, but it's there. Which is really, really good. Also, when you are moving your bars around, up here you've got something called bar snapping. So let's say I just want to move it. As you can see, it sticks to stuff. So I'm kind of moving my mouse down a tiny bit, and it's still sticking to it. This just makes it easier for when you are placing them around, that you don't have to really, really closely do it. But it does also stick to the sides of your screen. As you can see here, it's got a bit of... You have to pull it about a bit, and you can't get very close. You can just turn it off if you want to get very, very close to the side of the screen. So say I want to remove that griffin and everything but its head. There you go. Wonderful. So you can do that sort of stuff. I'm getting rid of that, though. It's disgusting. So you also have profiles and presets. I personally just have my profiles. I have a lot of profiles here. So... yeah, that works. So once you're done with that, lock your bars, and GG. That's all working out for you. So that's OmniCC and Bartender. Up next is Quartz. So Quartz is the cast bar add-on. As you can see, it's got this down here, and it has a really, really cool amount of stuff. It's also got an auto attack timer, which is really, really nice. So it shows you when your next auto attack's coming up, which is awesome, and it has a bunch of cast time stuff. Really, with me, it's only Cobra Shot that I can show you on. Maybe Barrage as well. Barrage is pretty cool. Also, if you got hit, it'll show you the duration time. It auto updates. But I'm going to show you how to sort that out. So come here, pet, you bastard. Right. So what you need to do first off is that you'll type in Quartz, and then you get all your profiles and stuff. And this might look pretty intensive, and that's because it is pretty intensive. So first off, when you get into Quartz, if you do toggle bar lock, normally you have all of these ones as well. You have a bunch of other bars showing you all the like GCDs and all this buffs and what your focus is casting, what your pet's casting, what your target's casting. I don't want any of that. All my other add-ons do that for me, especially with Shadow Unit frames, which I'm getting onto in a minute. So I just use it for my player, just for my player self. And there's loads you can do with Quartz. So you can position it down here. Oh god, what did I have it on? Oh, that's going to be out of place forever now. You can position it, for fuck's sake, and you can change the Y-axis. You can change how tall it is. I've got to look at these settings before I change them. And you can change the scale. That was on 1, that's fine. For some reason it goes off in the corner, which isn't great, but there we go. You can have the icon there as well. So when you do cast, so say I've got my cast now, it will show Cobra Shot as well, which is pretty awesome. Which is really, really nice. I don't personally use that. I don't, because I'm only using Cobra Shot, but that's something that you may want to include. And you have all the icon positioning. You also have your fonts here, all your fonts that you want to change on. I've got Arial Narrow. I find that to be, it looks quite nice, quite clean. And there's just so many options here. You've got all this, where the timers are, how long it's going to be. You've got your textures and your Blizzard borders and stuff like that. To be honest, it's not too difficult to set up. I personally just have it for my player. I know other people use it for a lot of other things, but I feel that's completely unnecessary. So that's what I use Quartz for. Very, very simple, and that's really how you set it up. You also got all these colors here, so if you did fail halfway through, I'm not really sure I'm going to do this, so yeah, look, it goes red afterwards, and if you get a full cast off, it'll go green. So well done, you've got a cast off. Have a biscuit. Oh fuck, my passive's procced. fucking 2 set. I think I should be able to still go into the options. Yeah, good. So you can do this during combat, not like a lot of the other add-ons, but you can fuck about with loads of this if you want to. I've just got it pretty much basic, and it works out for me. So that's what that barcast thing is. It's just literally Quartz. Very, very simple, very nice add-on. So moving on now to SexyMap. Now, the thing is with this add-on over here, the SexyMap add-on, not really necessary, to be honest. It just looks quite cool. I personally like it quite a lot. It's got everything here. There's quite a lot of options. It's really easy to open. You can just right click on it, and there's a lot of options you can put on this. Let me just put down Quartz. So you can have different buttons on it as well. You can have calendar, and you can like hover over it. So like on hover, I'll see the map thing, but I don't really want that because I can just press M. And there's just a lot of stuff. You've also got the clock, and you can change where that is. That was on 0, so look, I can put it all the way down there if I want to. I don't know why you would want to. Oh god, there we go. The font size of the clock as well, which is really, really nice. I'll just put it to that, and of course the font itself, background color, and all that kind of stuff. Coordinates as well are built in, which is awesome. So if you are stuck on a quest or you need to go to a very specific place, coordinates are there for you, so you don't have to use an additional add-on. But overall, really, it's nothing too crazy on it. You can also change lots of things, like you can have it so it rotates with your character, so as I turn around it rotates, the scale, and there's a lot of user-made presets. I'm not going to look at them because it will fuck up what I've got already, so I want to keep that the same. But overall, not an amazing add-on, like you don't really need it. It's not like, oh, I need this for raids, but it's generally quite good. I use it because it looks quite nice. So there you go. I've got to turn that rotate thing off. It makes me feel sick. There you go. So nice and simple, really, really easy. You can really customize it a lot as well, which is really, really good. And now we're going to be moving on to my my unit frames, which is shadowed unit frames. So with these shadowed unit frames, it's very complicated. The best way of opening it is just write surf, so shadowed unit frames. And after a brief delay, there we go. So it is very, very complicated. The first time you open this, it's like, what? I don't know if any of you used any of the other unit frames add-ons. It wants to change everything. It wants you to have everything to do with it. I literally only use player, pet, target, and focus. So if I target this, there's the target, and if I set it as a focus, it's over here as well. But what's really, really good about this is that you can add a lot of customization to it. So say we want to have a look at the target, you can set it to a 3D portrait, you can set it to a 2D portrait, you can set whether you want it on the left or the right, which is really good. You have range indicators and everything like that. I don't use any of that because I personally don't feel that I need to, but there's a lot of options. You can change the scale of it, which is fine. It was 141. Change the height and everything, and of course the position. I personally have them down here. I know a lot of people like them up in the top left corner, but I feel that with my UI it works out a lot because I want to keep the top half clear, as I said before, so I keep everything down at the bottom. There's a lot of bars that you can do. You can have the power bar to say that person has focus. I've also got target over there in the corner, but if that person has focus, it shows you how much focus that person has. Also health bar, so you can see how much health they have, which is really, really good. I find that incredibly useful, having the health bar. But what's really good with the with the bars and everything like that is that if you go all the way into text and tags, you can say what you want in the in what part of it. So on the left hand side of the text of the health HP bar, I want the person's name. So look, I can get rid of that, or I can put the person's server, but for some reason that's not working. I can say it's a female, guild name, so quantum, I don't know, well, yeah, it's coloured with the class colour as well. I just have it on unit frame, so look, it would just be anything. Also on the right hand side, you can have, I personally have decimal and current / max HP. So it will give me how much decimal place as well as the boss's overall HP. I find this incredibly useful. So say if I'm going on ads which are new to me and I don't know how much health they actually have overall, I can kind of adjust my DPS to that. And of course with percentages, a lot of boss mechanics happens on certain percentages, or a lot of your DPS rotation might be revolving around once you hit a certain percentage, you completely change it. So I'll be doing kill shot or a death knight. I'll be using that soul thing they get at level 87. I have a death knight, I don't even know what it is, but regardless, there's a lot of stuff you can have though, and I find it really, really useful. The power bar on the left hand side, I literally have the percent of the power, as well as on the right I have the current and max power. Very, very simple, nothing too complicated about that. So the main thing is that really you just want to be able to position these in such a place where you can get them in the corners. I personally turn off the 2D thing because I felt I got a tiny bit of lag from it, and I felt that it wasn't necessary at all, especially when they move around. They can leave the actual frame, which is kind of annoying. So I never really bothered about that. But there's a lot of really cool things as well. Like the buffs and debuffs are also really important that you want to do. So let's go on to the player and let's have a look at the buffs that you can get. So if I turn off buffs, you won't see buffs anymore. I've already got buffs in the top right, but I also sometimes have to look above here. I find that useful so I can look in 2 different places. I know a lot of people probably wouldn't like that. You can there's a lot of options with these buffs, and it's pretty nuts. But the debuffs are probably the best thing because say with my target and I've got my debuffs, I've got my ones to be larger, so I can't really show you what the other ones look like, but with the with my larger ones, mine are bigger than the what other people's would be, to show how long I got on Serpent Sting, and it will always be at the front as well, which is really useful. So having that is it just allows you to track stuff as well. You can use other add-ons such as, I don't know, for Exorcist to track debuffs and stuff like that, but I feel just having shadow unit frames, especially as a class that isn't heavily dot like orientated, all I have to do is Cobra Shot every now and then. Like, I don't really particularly need that, so that's absolutely fine for me. But shadow unit frames I find really useful. The fact that you can move them all around and there is a lot of information that you can put on it, like the health and the percentage health, I find that incredibly useful as a DPS and as a tank. As a healer, maybe not as much, because you just be looking at your unit frame sort of thing. Your party and raid frames, so I don't really feel that it's necessarily that useful for a for a healer. But there you go. So it is an incredibly customizable add-on. There is a lot of other add-ons that do a very similar thing. I found Shadow Unit Frames to be really good at keeping up to date with itself as well. So that was very useful for me, and just the high amount of customization just makes it a really useful add-on for me to use. It's probably the best way of you learning how to do it, is just mucking about with it. That's exactly how I did it. I just played with it for like about 40-50 minutes, and I got it working like that. So it will take me a long time to go through every single option, and I'm sure you don't really need that anyway. So just play around with it and use the add-on, and when you first install it, do be prepared to you have your whole UI ruined because everything's in the way. Just make sure you disable it and stuff like that. It's not too difficult. So that's Shadow Unit Frames, and now I'm going to be moving on to Skada. Now Skada is my raid, now Skada is my damage meters. It's very similar to Recount. It's practically the same thing. I find Skada has more plugins, which is useful, and there's a lot of customization you can do with this, but it's very simple. So when you first get it, you can set where you want the thing to do. So say I want it for the current fight, and I want to see, I don't know, the amount of, I don't know, deaths. There you go, someone died, not very good. It'll have a death log as well, which is really awesome. But I personally have this just for my DPS, and I very use it for anything else. So I look at damage, and there's the damage meter. Very simple. Also, I have 2 of them, and they are highly customizable. So if we do go into the configure menu, what you'll be coming out with is that you do have 2 windows. You probably end up having 1 at the beginning, but there's a lot of stuff you can do here in order to change how things look. Which is really nice. So I have this one for healing over here. I've made it so like I've got the bar font size, the actual font. I've got the Blizzard texture, the spacing and the height of it. So you can change the height. So if I want it to be like bigger or smaller, I can do that. And I have its class color bars. You don't actually have to have that. For some reason it's not changing now. Maybe if I start it again, you can do that, which is really nice. I find that useful. So you can see at a glance, the Disc Priest or the Priest was doing a lot of healing in comparison to everyone else. Also, you can change the background color. I've got it green for healing and red for damage, just so I can, once again, at a glance, I know which one's which. I find that very simple, which is really useful. But the most useful thing I find about Skada is the fact that you can have healing and absorbs as a plugin. So as healing, most of the time with most trackers, it doesn't track shields from Disc Priests or Paladins very well. So having stuff that, having this add-on that does track healing and absorbs is really useful, if you ask me. So it does both at the same time, which is incredibly useful. And as I said, highly customizable. If you want to move them, just literally by unlocking them, and there you go, you can drag it about, put it wherever you want, which is really useful, if you ask me. So you can place them wherever you like. I've done it with pinpoint precision last time. It doesn't look as good now. You can also drag them very simply to resize them. If you want it really big or really small, you can do it exactly like that. I think I've just ruined my UI a little bit by doing that. Seriously, my UI is going to get worse and worse throughout the video, but that's fine. There you go. So that's a really nice add-on. I use Skada. Recount's just as good. I personally don't really need this. But it's kind of useful for making decisions on, oh, why aren't you doing this much healing, or why is someone's damage so low, or whatever. It also has a really nice damage breakdown, so you can see where your damage is coming from. So like, it's just generally useful if you want to analyze your own DPS. And of course it does reset when you do enter combat. So there you go, there's my DPS going now. Not doing the proper rotation, but that is a rotation regardless. So very, very simple and very, very nice. So the next add-on I'm having a look at is TidyPlates. Now this is an add-on that you use to show the health and the health bars above the mob's actual head, so you don't have to be looking down here, and at a glance you can see what another person's health is without having to switch target or anything like that. So it is quite useful. There's a lot of customization for this in terms of like the colors can change and stuff for if you got threat and things like that. There's also one for tank and one for damage. Unfortunately, I've managed to set mine up so I'm on tank setting, but it doesn't really make any difference. But there are a lot of customization that you can do for this, which is really, really useful. So you can see things like you can have timers above them, so you can have a look down there, so instead of having a look up there. I personally don't use this, so because if the boss decides to have its hip and its plate really far above its head, I won't be able to see it, so that's not useful at all. So you can't really change anything about that. But there's a lot of things here that you can change up, which is really, really, really nice to do. I personally mainly use it for the health that it gives, but you can change the scale of it. So if I want them really big, I can have them really big. You can also have it as like it will take priority over different ones, so you can have that by threat, or if it's on low health or anything like that. So if they all groups up, it'll be easier to see the ones that have lower health. You can also ignore certain units. So like, well, these ones aren't inactive or anything like that, but you can make it so that you don't have to see, I don't know, non-elite units and stuff like that, which is useful, I suppose, if you just want to be focusing on that kind of stuff. But there is a lot of customization to this. And to be honest, once you install it, you can just really pick up and go. There's not really too much that you have to change. I personally didn't change too much. I found that like once I just plugged it in, got it installed, it works absolutely fine. But if you do want to muck about with this, then that's absolutely fine as well. Here's the text field. This is the main thing that I would change. If you just want it on percentage health, I don't know, exact health. I've got it on health total and percentage, but you might just want it, I don't know, approximate health, so it'll shorten it down a little bit. Or you can show the level next to them as well, so it'll be 90-90. So there are a lot of things that you can do to play about with this. I personally think that once you do plug it in and you kind of change what you want your optional text field to be, that's enough. But so yeah, very, very nice. Now the add-on that I get most asked about is this one down here. This is my focus frame, and it's called Stay Focused. It's a very, very simple add-on, and it's awesome as well. I don't know what I'd do without it. It makes it so like I don't have to look up in the top or down here, and it's directly underneath my main damage moves, so I can see in a second, oh, I need to be able to do 2 moves, so I'll hit 2 moves. I'll make sure I have enough focus for that point in time. So there are a lot of customization, and it isn't just for hunters, this add-on. You can use it to track your mana or any of your primary resources, which is awesome. There's not a lot of customization, but to be honest, you don't really need a lot of customization for this. You can have the value to a certain percent. I'm going to keep in combat so you can see. So look, down here I've got it just to 1 of them, or I can change it to 2, so it's a bit more precise. I don't know, really, I only need it to 1 decimal place, but the 0.0% looks nice. You can change the texture of it, so say you want it to look like that, or you want to make it look like that. Unfortunately, I can't really move this. Font size, so you can make it bigger or smaller. The width of it, which is really cool. I think where was it? That was something like that. Ish. My UI's ruined. You can also change the height of it. Also, when you're out of combat, which is OCC, I guess OOC, out of combat makes sense, you can make it a lot less, and you can, of course, when you're in combat, it shows more. So when it's maxed out, like, you can change it so it's a bit more thinner, or when you have none left, you can make it so it's a bit more see-through and things like that. You can also make it so it's class color, or you can just have it black. I'm not sure if you can customize that. The change of color, so it's either black or not black. So I'm not 100% sure if it works any other way, but you can just do value, So hold on, let me just keep in combat. Value, you got percent. You don't even have to have any text if you don't want to. I just find having value and a percent to 1 decimal place more than enough for hunters. So that's what it is. That's stay focused. Very, very useful. I find having it there is the most. It's made me 100% better because I just don't have to look all the way down here or anything like that just to be able to see my focus. So very, very, very useful. Next off, we're having a look at DBM, a very, very essential add-on that you need in order to raid, if you ask me. Without DBM timers or bigwigs, I use DBM personally because I just always have. Without timers for bosses, you're not going to have a fun time. Let's say that for a fact, because you don't know when shit's coming in, so you can't like counteract it or anything like that. So if you go to a raid without DBM or bigwigs, you're relying on other people unless you know the fight back to like the back of your hand. Now, so when you do go into an instance like Throne of Thunder, let's say, it will automatically load up. I had to load it up because I'm not in the instance, but you can do that anyway. And in here you have a lot of options per boss. So you can show, like, say I want to know, it will announce the static burst targets, or it will show me a special warning and things like that. There's lots of things. Timers, incredibly useful. I don't have static burst timer because I don't do anything to like combat it, but as a tank I make sure I have it on because like as a Death Knight tank you can cheese it with anti-magic shell and everything like that, and that works for every single boss. Oh, there's some additional things from Bartender, which is cool. I haven't seen that yet, so that's absolutely cool. But there's loads and loads of options, which is really useful. But the main ones, I guess you guys what you want to see is the bars. Now, with the bars, you can change where they are. So, at the moment, I've got my ones up here. For some reason, I've got my thing there. So, this will be like say there's something happening in 20 seconds. I don't really need to worry about it now. That will all be up here. And then when something imminent's coming in, it'll come down here. The reason you got to be really careful that you do like allocate enough space for there to be lots of things, because if it like goes over your feet or goes over your bars, you may not be able to like see things because there's so many timers you have up. So it is really nice if you do move it out of the way. You can have it underneath your character, or you can have it over here. You can have it wherever you want, but I find having it there is really useful, and up there as well, because it's nice and out the way, keeps the main screen visible. There's a lot of things that you can do as well with this. You can change the bar width and the scale, where exactly it is. With the Move Me thing is really, really useful. You can change where it is just by dragging it, which is really nice. So you don't have to muck about with the Y offsets or anything like that. You can change the font size, the color, so it does like change color towards the end. I think it does anyway. You can also change the bar textures and things like that. In terms of special warnings and health frames and stuff like that, that's like when you're about to get killed because you're in the wrong place. You can move that. You can change the position if you really want to. I find it useful having it in the middle of the screen because then I know I've been bad. So that's absolutely fine. It doesn't. You can still click for it and everything like that. It doesn't make it too problematic. So say I want to show an HP frame. So say I'm on a boss where there's lots of them. Say like Council, the new council that you have, the third boss, that'll be each one of these, so it shows each boss's health, which is nice and useful. Also a really cool thing, especially just for that fight, say I do go to that fight, you can have it so on Council of Elders, you can track the amount of possessed health they need to, like, so you need to take off another 10% of their health to get rid of the possessed, which is really, really nice as well. So like DBM is amazing. Also bigwigs is just as good, so I've heard. I've never used bigwigs. I found DBM told me exactly what I want to do. It's very useful. You got to make sure you keep it up to date though, because otherwise you'll be going like every time they release a new expansion, well, especially an expansion, but a new instance, you got to make sure that you do keep this updated in order to make sure that you have all the new boss information. Especially like, you might want to update it a couple of times. Every time you go for a raid, update it, especially at the beginning of a new tier, because more and more information and more options get put on. Like the first time I went into Throne of Thunder, there was absolutely no options for Megara. They didn't understand Megara yet, but they managed to work it out. There's also a lot of statistics you got here, which is quite nice, so you can have a look at all this sort of stuff, which is good. Like on Lai Shi, we wiped far too many times, which is great, but there we go. So, nice and simple, really, really good, and if you don't have it, shame on you. You should not be raiding without a boss mod add-on, regardless if it's DBM or not. The next add-on we're having a look at is TellMeWhen, which at the moment is invisible. Now, TellMeWhen is what I use to track my cooldowns. Personally, I find it very useful to have them there, but I've also got them down here. And what it does is shows, at the moment, there are actually 2 bars. One of them, so say if I use rapid fire, it'll appear underneath. That's the timer left on rapid fire, and that's until it comes back up. It allows it so I don't have to look up here in order to get rid of the rapid fire. To see how long rapid fire has left, or say if I use my stampede. I haven't got a tracker for stampede. I didn't really find it necessary, but there's stampede here, and it'll tell me when it's coming off cooldown, because of course you can double stack stampede. Oh no, you can't, because of course that doesn't work with that. But readiness is really, really cool. I've got it so it only shows in combat, and this bit doesn't bother showing, but you can change all that. And unfortunately, I do need to get out of combat, so I do need to wait for my balls to fuck off. There we go. So if we go into TellMeWhen, which is TMW, we're going to see the options that you have. So if you think you need to right-click it, there we go. So what you need to do is that I've got 2 different groups. I've got group 1, group 2. You can add other groups. So let's say we've got a brand new group. I've got these as bar groups, icon groups, sorry. You can have them as bars. I think it looks gross. Personally, so there you go. So say you started a new group and you'll get this, and for your group you wanted to track your cooldowns. So let's start off, so we'll go to the main and we'll start. You got to choose your icon type. So I want it as a spell cooldown. I want to know when my things are coming off a cooldown. So hit spell cooldown, do enabled, so it actually is working, and then choose the spell that it wants me to check. So say I want to check, I know, Feign Death. So say I think that's it's FE. So look, Feign Death, and it's got all the options here, and there's a lot of options, and some of these aren't even moves that players can do. However, normally the ones that are, they're at the top, and they normally have a colour. So say Feign Death, I want to track the spell cooldown on Feign Death. Now what I also do is I make sure that if it's unusable, I have it on 50%, so it's slightly less visible. I do that because I think it looks nice. I have timer and timer text as well. I don't have anything else clicked on. Nothing else. I don't feel that it's necessary. You can play about with this so it does more. So once I'm done with that, okay, that's done. Tell me when. This should work, otherwise I'm going to look like an idiot. Now, there you go, 30 seconds. Awesome. And then once that time is done, it will come back off. So I have one at the top here for all my actual, when my cooldowns are ready, and here's the duration of the cooldowns. For my hunter, I don't really have many. I just have my TellMeWhen, my rapid fire even. I could probably add one for my vermin's bite, which would be useful. I could also have one for further, whatever the one. I could have it for loads, but I feel it isn't really necessary. I've kind of got used to it on my hunter. So I have got one bar for the for my cooldowns, how long I've got cooldowns left on, and how long those cooldowns duration is lasting. Say you do, so that's how you do add a how long the cooldown's actually there. If you want to add another one, I don't know, let's say you want to see a buff or a debuff. This is the way I track my buffs gained from my cooldown. So I have a rapid fire buff. So say I want to check rapid fire, I have my buff or my debuff, have it enabled. Choose what spell to check. So I want to check rapid fire. There we go. I've had a lot of problems with other characters. It's kind of gotten better now, but there is a lot. Look at all of this. There's like 6 other rapid fires. These are normally ones that NPCs use. But normally the ones that you use are going to be up here, and so I'll click on that, which is lovely. Make sure it checks me, only me. That's absolutely fine. So that's it. Also have the timer. There we go. When it's not there, I don't have it showing, but you can. If it's not there, you can have it, I don't know, so like it's just there, and that'll just show how long it is. So, okay, I'm done. I can move my bar, replace it. Let's say I'll put it there for now. I've got them there at the moment, these 3, these 2 even, I've just added this one. These 2 because it's right next to where I can see everything, so it's nice and simple. So once you're done, /TellMeWhen, and then when I hit the cooldown, there you go. Wonderful. Now there are a lot of options that you can do, of course, with TellMeWhen in terms of the actual group settings. So you can have it so it's only enabled in certain specs. You can also make it so you can change how big this is without having to drag it. You can also do, like, yeah, you can position it and everything like that. There's also group conditions. I haven't got any for my hunter, but you might want to do conditions, so you can add a condition, like your certain spec, or if you're mounted, or if you're in a pet battle. There's a lot of things that you can do in order to make it so it will only show up if I'm in this certain spec, or it will only show up if I'm in PvP, or I don't know, or if I'm an agility user? I don't know. So there's a lot of things that you can play about with as well in order to make it sharp for certain things. But TellMeWhen is really, really useful. It's kind of replaced Power Auras for me because Power Auras just decided never to update. So I use this to track my cooldowns now, and it works just as well. It's a really, really good add-on, and I highly suggest you use it to track your cooldowns. If not, your Bartender will do it well enough, but it won't show you duration. So yeah, that's something to think about. Now, the last add-on I'm going to have a look at, which I completely forgot to mention, is kgPanels, which are these little square boxes that house my UI. They do absolutely nothing apart from exactly what I said. It houses my UI. So, kgPanels, config, god damn it, kgPanels, all we have to do, kgPanels, config, if I can type, there we go. So now you've got a lot of things here. So I've got one, I think I actually took this directly from Loz's UI, because I installed Loz's UI last time I did a UI video. It doesn't really very much, it doesn't update very often, but there's a lot you can do here. So you can change the texture and everything like that. My god, it gets quite complicated quite quickly. You can also change how opaque it is. So I'm having a look at the bottom one at the moment, which has my UI. You can also have the, you change the background style. This is the main bit I look at, it's the panel width and the panel height. Because I've set it up at a 1080p screen, this is exactly how exactly I want it at. So it fits exactly in the right place, which is awesome for me. You can also nudge it around if it's just off. And it's really, really simple to set up. It takes a lot of fiddling about, I must admit, but the actual thing itself isn't too complicated, and it just puts a little border around to house your UI. If I remove the panels, I'm not actually going to do that. I don't think I can get it back if I remove it. I'm not sure. Well, yeah, if I remove the panels, oh no, that will delete it. Never mind, I'm not going to remove the panels, but either way, the UI itself just wouldn't look as tight, so it's just a really aesthetic thing. So that's the only reason I use it. But it's a nice and simple add-on, and it just allows you to house your UI really, really simply. So that's it, guys. That's my UI, all nice and done. I've covered all the add-ons as far as I really know how to use them. A lot of add-ons you can really work out by yourself just through trial and error. But if you do have a massive problem, or you want some sort of help or anything like that, do leave a comment in the comment section below, and either I'll get back to you or Loz will get back to you, or you can of course help each other. That'll be awesome. Make a little community place for our add-on talks, which would be absolutely wonderful. So that's pretty much everything. I feel that this is really good for DPS because it kind of keeps everything in place, and also for tanks. I don't use it for my healer because with my actual party frames, I've just got them over towards the left because I don't need to see them. Well, I need to see them, but I don't need to be able to interact with them. So I just have it over towards the left-hand side, standard Blizzard UI, everything like that. So yeah, any questions, just let us know, and I hope this helps, and yeah, I'll catch you guys later.